sneak out.
Okay, great. Okay, but yeah, you have that option.
Sure. Unless someone else will be offended that they're not getting the bed. It's all the same to me.
Sahara shakes her head.
No, it's your bed.
I mean, it was like 40 years ago. I imagine Ophelia just like makes a face, the unpleasant reminder.
Yeah, how old my friend is.
I mean, it's been cleaned since then, I assume.
Yeah, I would
There's not
imagine.
40 years of dust on it. It's just haven't lived here in a long time.
Okay, Kalina kind of starts leading the way up the stairs. And if the girls would like to follow her,
I go with them for now.
yeah, you can help carry all the stuff upstairs.
Yeah.
Everyone's dragging all of their bags and things. But yeah, you come up into the familiar, sort of much smaller second floor tree loft kind of thing. It's just like a huge loft room. And you, Adakora, you remember it as Taito's sort of writing workshop area. And it was probably also like kind of a playroom when you were a child. But by the time you left, it had been not that so much because you were a teen by then. But at one point, it was like half playroom, half sort of office. But yeah, now it's so it was pretty cluttered back when you lived here. I feel like Taito was a messy person. Like he just had stacks of books and paper and things everywhere, and a big desk, and like half-written manuscripts, and old coffee mugs or whatever. But now it's been kind of cleared out pretty obviously. But on one side of it, there's sort of a consolidated workshop looking area. There's some tables, a lot of tools, some sort of half-made pieces of furniture in various states of completion. But yeah, you can tell this has kind of been converted into Kalina's workshop. But right now it's just like big empty wooden floors mostly with extra mattresses and pillows and blankets and things for the three of you who are sleeping up here.
And Ophelia sits down and immediately tries to write 25-word messages.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Waiting for Torkel to call. Okay. Yeah, Kalina's just kind of like, all right, let us know if you need anything. Then heads back downstairs.
Thanks so much. I'm going to leave Sahar and Ophelia to do their thing. But I'm going to sit next to Antimony or bother her with whatever she's doing. getting ready for bed.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm whatever. I just let him bother me, you know.
So, you met my mom.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Sure did.
Explain some things maybe about Dad.
Well, I mean, I think mostly it just explains why. I mean, he was definitely the dumpy, right?
That's a good question. I imagine it was kind of mutual, but Adakora would remember.
Yeah, I think it was probably fairly mutual. But I think Melidor might have been the one who was first, like, hey, this is not working out.
Yeah. She figured it out eventually.
So, I mean, this thing tomorrow, do you think there's actually going to be any real trouble?
I think they're right to be concerned about it.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Empire seems to be doing basically whatever they can to get everybody involved in the war. Kind of going full steam ahead.
I guess that's to be expected. I don't really know.
And I guess, I don't know.
There's always been some amount of pressure.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I never really was sure how bad things were here. I mean, Dad doesn't really talk about it. But it seems like there's just a lot more brewing, simmering, question mark, than people really want to admit.
What kind of stuff was going on at the Sultress before you left?
Oh boy. I mean, well, even before the war actually broke out, it did kind of feel like, tensions were escalating, right?
Mm.
It just kind of seemed like, people people came, you know, wanting to learn magic, and it was just like before long, everything was, I don't know, it just kind of became about how we could use it to hurt people rather than, to help them. There was a lot of, I mean, the artificer department was working on a lot of, well, I mean, you saw some of them in Hupperduke. It's a lot of war machines.
Yeah.
The Wizards, yeah, I don't know what was up with them. There were some. They're kind of secretive, like at the best of times. So I didn't really know a lot of what was going on behind the scenes. But, sometimes people would come in all, hopeful, and then just kind of, I don't know, you just kind of see them having all that talent turned to, I don't know, whatever the Cerberus Assembly wants. This is like the first time I've talked about the Soldiers Academy, isn't it? Oh my god.
21 sessions.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
What's the over under on how long it took us to get like Caleb's shady wizard back?
Caleb's backstory came out episode 18.
Yep.
I held out longer than Liam O'Brien.
You sure did.
That sounds tough.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't really the kind of place that I wanted it to be.
And you just figured that out?
Well, I guess. I mean, I don't really know what I hoped it would be, but someone's done Yeah, I guess. I didn't. I mean, I didn't trust the Cerberus Assembly in the end. I guess no one really does.
Mm.
But
No.
I don't know. I just think. I think they're more concerned with their own power than, with the rest of the kingdom, so to speak. It's an empire. What am I talking about? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've been having this conversation with the wild mouse equivalent of just like toothpaste suds in my mouth.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you're sitting on the bathroom sink and you've been there for 40 minutes. No.
Yeah, right. I mean, I guess it's kind of refreshing that they're having this big meeting in public, that it's open to the public. I don't know. I guess that sounds kind of weird, but like back at the academy, it just always felt like everything was so secretive. So, in the end, I guess I don't really know what they were doing. But what I saw, I didn't like. I didn't really care for it. Yes. The school just had bad vibes.
Why does no one ask college dropouts if the school had bad vibes?
The vibes was to be rancid. I'm sorry.
Just had bad vibes. The Cerberus Assembly, everyone in the Cerberus Assembly has bad vibes, also.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I was like, I have 9 wisdom. I can't tell what vibes anything has.
While they're having this conversation, Ophelia, you are practicing some messages or writing some test messages.
Yeah.
Are you all set?
I guess so.
Do you have one? I'm gonna have Torquil call you.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you're just kind of sitting there poring over your notes, trying to figure out how best to convey this in 25 words or less, and you hear a familiar voice. Ophelia, just checking in. Have you reached the city yet? Is everything all right?
I have to rephrase. I didn't give myself any space to like respond to him.
I mean, if you talk about stuff that's gonna happen in Visayas Teal, he'll know you're in the city.
Okay. Yes. Empire planning to recruit soldiers, which Visayas hates. Speech tomorrow. Tensions will be rising. I want to observe, should I, as the soul.
Damn.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's a little time goes by before you get a response. I'm gonna have to write one real quick.
I put mine in the Discord just for reference.
Oh, thank you.
Torgal's just like, sorry, Ophelia, I can't talk to you until I've had a long rest. I accidentally used all of my other spells.
That was my last spell slot.
Yeah.
No, he's just like counting words on his fingers, like forward. He's like, okay, just a sec, I'm almost done.
Also, was that Antimony and Adakora conversation in a place where others, like, where we could hear it?
I mean, probably, if you guys stayed in that room.
Yeah, okay.
I guess it depends on how quietly they were talking, but your passive is pretty high.
Yeah, I feel like Ophelia's enormously high passive.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sahar is like lying on her mattress, like she's just kind of flopped down and is like staring up at the ceiling. Does not appear to be paying attention to any of you. But you don't, I guess you don't really know if she's listening to you or not. She probably like turns to look at you when you start talking to no one in particular. Ophelia, she's like, what is she doing?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a minute or couple of minutes later, you get a response back. Okay, so Torgal says, keep an eye out. Don't make your soul affiliation obvious if possible, but keep symbol on you in case. Update us if there's trouble. I'll contact you tomorrow. And you can respond back if you want.
I'll just say, okay, and that's fucking it.
Okay. Not a jester.
No. Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Exactly.
Message read.
Pretty yeah. Leave Tarkle on red.
God, can you leave like read receipts on your sending messages?
That would be funny.
Torkel said, don't make it obvious, but keep symbol on. So, we're doing some, like, sneaky shit. We're like spies now.
I'm like this conversation today. Like, wait, what?
And I'm assuming the symbol is just like the Ioun, the medallion, like, focus thing? Spell focus?
I think, yes, I think you might have some other stuff.
Like a badge?
Yeah, you might also, because your holy symbol is your holy symbol.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, Ioun is affiliated with the Cobalt, or the Cobalt Soul is affiliated with Ioun, rather, and everyone kind of knows that, but I think, there could be independent clerics of Ioun. Like, just having a holy symbol of Ioun doesn't necessarily mean you're from the Cobalt Soul. So there's probably either that symbol has something specific about it that also indicates Cobalt Soul, or you have, like, another sort of badge that also signifies that.
Yeah. Either is good. We can, I don't know, have two. It's fine. Does anybody else also have a badge?
I imagine not, because I'm not.
I think I have something, don't I?
You do. Yeah, you have a badge of some sort, Antimony, because you don't have a uniform really at all.
Yeah, I think I just have a little like badge that I flash at people like an FBI agent.
Yeah, you do. And I think you like don't have it all the time too. I think they like give you one. I can't remember what I said about this, or if you're like, maybe you're just not supposed to use it when you're not on Cobalt Soul business and it's the honor system. I don't actually know, but or if they just give you one when you're on a job. You definitely have one right now, though. And Adacor, I don't know that you do. I think you maybe just have a uniform.
I think so. I'm trying to look back in my notes for when I switched jobs, but I didn't write anything down besides that my new boss is Expositor Reese, and I did get a new uniform.
Yeah, you have a cool new uniform that's a little bit less person who is hanging out in an archive all day and a little bit more action.
Yeah.
It's like easier to fight in.
Yeah.
But yeah, you probably have I know Bo has like a whole sash situation going on. Where like she like turns her sash inside out when she doesn't want to be recognized as Cobalt Soul. So I think there are like some rank sashes and stuff that you guys probably have, you and Ophelia at least.
Yeah.
So you could take that with you or wear it under your clothes or something. Like an Imperial official would probably recognize it.
We just like reach into our pocket and like take out this sheer ribbon scarf and we're like, check this shit out.
That's probably Adacora's best option. Assuming you do not want to be identified immediately.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, anything else you guys want to do before you take a long rest?
I don't think so. But I would like to hear Adakora try to explain all of this to Adalora.
Oh. Yeah, I gotta go back to my room and call Laura.
Okay. So you say goodnight to everybody up here?
Yeah. All right, I'll wake you all at the crack of dawn.
You just kind of get a grunt of acknowledgement from Sahar, who is still lying on her back, staring up at the ceiling.
Bright and early, since I know that kind of schedule is important, especially for Ophelia.
Oh, man.
And I depart.
Okay.
I squeeze Antimone's shoulder as I leave, and then I depart.
Okay. Yeah, you go downstairs. Your mother and Kalina are sitting at the kitchen table. They've taken the leaf out, and they're just like sitting there drinking something and talking quietly to each other. They just sort of wave to you as you come down the stairs. Going to bed?
Yep.
All right, I'll probably be gone tomorrow by the time you get up. But I'll see you at some point.
Yeah. We. Shut up!
Oh boy.
In my head.
Oh boy.
It's your conscience. We haven't spoken in a while. We know where to find each other, roughly. I say to my mother. Good night.
Good night. It's good to see you.
I'll give her a little side hug as I pass through.
She hugs you back. Okay, your childhood bedroom is not exactly as you left it, obviously, because you like took most of your stuff with you when you moved out of the city. But there's, it's the same bed that you used as a teen, which is, I would imagine, big enough for you because you were probably mostly done growing at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got like the same quilt on it that you used when you were that age. And yeah, it's pretty sparsely decorated. You can tell that some of the wardrobe or whatever is like filled with other stuff that they just need somewhere to keep. There's some extra furniture in here that they just didn't have anywhere else to put. But yeah, it's pretty, it looks fairly impersonal compared to when you were last here. But the sheets are all new and stuff.
Yeah, I took the posters of like my crushes with me.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff didn't get left behind.
Oh yeah. There's probably like a childhood drawing up in here or something.
I'm not a very good artist.
Maybe there's a box of toys you had when you were really little that are just like stored in here. They're like, we'll give these to some kid eventually, I'm sure. That kind of thing. My parents still have stuff like that.
Yeah.
Elfin baby clothes in a box.
Yeah, fucking bizarre. Okay. Get out my stone. And tap out the message to see if she's available.
Okay. Yeah, she replies pretty quickly. It's still not super late yet. It's probably like 8 or 9. And yeah, it seems like she was just kind of sitting with it right next to her, whatever she was doing. You hear some papers rustling and things like that. But she says, "There you are. It's about time you called."
We only arrived in the city today, but you'll be happy to hear that we're all in one piece.
Good. How was the trip?
Eventful. You know, a giant's fighter here and there.
Oh.
But yeah, like I said, all in one piece.
No wonder they don't get many travelers. Well, I'm glad you made it. How's your mother? Did you see her
yet? Yes. I've seen my mother. She's doing very well. Thank you. She asked about you.
Did she really?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm surprised she remembers that.
Yeah, well, leave it to mothers.
Does she want to know why you're still single? Because my mother asks me that every time I visit home.
Yeah. I'm busy and I don't care doesn't seem like a good enough response.
No, it doesn't. Although you have plenty of time, I suppose. Don't you have hundreds and hundreds of years to settle down and have children?
That's true.
Well, I mean, not that I don't have time still, but it's a little different when you grow up on a farm and you stay there and you need, 5 extra pairs of hands to help at harvest time.
Indeed.
Anything else interesting?
Essentially, what I've gathered so far.
Nope, good night, that's all.
That's it. God. There's going to be some kind of speech from the Starosta and the Ring of Three tomorrow about establishing a Righteous Brand recruitment presence cohort. I don't know how many people it is. We didn't ask exactly.
No, you didn't.
Presence in the city.
Really?
Apparently, he's been putting a lot of pressure to that end for a while.
I suppose the crown must be putting some pressure on him. I know this isn't my area of expertise, obviously, but I know they've stepped up recruitment pretty much everywhere. And it sounds like they weren't focusing on Besaeus Teal back when it wasn't wartime because of, the politics there. I did a little bit of research. This Uther Prince sounds like a bit of a piece of work.
He's not popular.
He's had the job for a long time by human standards.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose we'll see if it works or if it just makes things worse.
Yeah. Suppose how much I'll be able to see will depend on how fast he gets impatient.
Right.
But I'll be there tomorrow.
That's good. Be good to have eyes on the situation. I wonder why they didn't send. Well, maybe they agreed to this to send you to keep an eye on this, and just didn't tell me about it. I suppose that's possible. You did arrive at a very convenient time. This seems like something they would want watched, although maybe, I suppose Besae Steel could be considered too out of the way and provincial to have much of an impact on the front in Xhorhas. If they can get the soldiers, they get some soldiers. If not, then... Although if it turns into some sort of actual conflict in the north, that won't be good.
No.
You hardly need attention diverted from the front.
Hopefully Uther's smart enough to do that.
Yeah, it's a gamble. I hope these people know what they're doing.
Does she seem sincere in not really having had an inkling that this was going down with the Righteous Brand?
Make an insight check.
14.
Okay. I mean, she's a little hard to read, especially because it's just voice.
Mm-hmm.
And Hannelore has a good poker face. You know this. You have been on the receiving end of it many times.
Yeah.
But you've also had a lot of conversations with her just without seeing her face, and you're kind of used to it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
She seems fairly sincere to you. And you know that it seems like an odd thing for her to hold back. If she hadn't known that, she doesn't typically send you into a place with less information than she has, or at least you haven't known it to happen.
Right.
Maybe it did happen and you just never found that out, but it's an odd thing for her to admit.
Right.
And you know very little about what she actually does for the Trust outside of being your handler, essentially. You're pretty sure she has a couple of other people that she manages. But yeah, most of what she does is not related to the Righteous Brand or the war effort. That's kind of not her area of expertise, for sure. She's got some individual people that she manages, and then she maybe has her own stuff that you don't really know what it is, but she doesn't leave Rexentrum really ever in her work. So seems likely enough what she's saying. I mean, you know the place better than anyone I've ever met. What's your read on it? Do you think there's going to be trouble?
I'm not expecting a riot or anything.
Well, that's something.
It's just hard to say. They want to be left alone.
Do you think they'll cooperate?
I know they would cooperate easier if they felt like they were getting something in return. The war doesn't seem to have much to do with them.
I suppose it's easy to feel that way when you're so isolated.
Most of them don't leave and they don't travel, and
Makes sense.
Perspective.
Well, I guess I can only hope that the local leadership there has some idea what they're doing. I'll mention it to people here, but I'm not sure what they can do.
Yeah.
I think we have a contact in Besays Teal, but of course they're not integrated very well into the wider society. They live in the sort of imperial outbuildings. It sounds like it's a separate little town almost. So they don't really venture into the city proper much because that would be, conspicuous. But
yeah,
we'll get word through to them and make sure they're updating us. I mean, I'm sure whoever's keeping an eye on the place knows that this is happening, the recruitment venture. They just haven't seen fit to tell me about it. Well, I hope nothing happens, but just be careful, all right?
I will.
Don't want you blowing your cover over whatever the hell this turns out to be.
I'll keep a low profile.
Good.
And I'll be back soon enough, braving more giant spiders. Heroically.
I hope the way back isn't as exciting as the way there. Giant spiders. Oof. Well, there's Nothing much happening here. Yet.
That was ominous.
Oh, you know, there's always people muttering about the Cerberus Assembly and the Cobalt Soul and little tidbits about politics in Jorhas. Although, as far as I can tell, nobody actually knows anything about that.
It's a little harder to get an inside man.
Yeah. Might be the only place that the Augen Trust doesn't have a dedicated presence. But that's above my pay grade. And yours too.
Well, for now. As you say, I've got hundreds of years.
Oh, yes. Oh, you do. That's so strange to think about.
It's strange from this end, too.
I'm going to be a wrinkled old lady if I live that long, and you're going to look exactly the same, I bet.
Mm-hmm. Attractive as ever.
Of course. I don't think you'd look bad if you aged a little bit either. Julie.
What's that face for? Insight check on the person who's not in the room and not listening to the conversation.
Well, good luck. Keep a low profile.
Always.
Don't be late getting back. I know you have plenty of time, but don't get eaten by spiders.
Okay. I'll tell them you said that, when it comes to
spiders?
Yeah.
Good, I'm sure that'll help.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Dial tone noise.
Yep. All right, is everyone good for the night?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Girls don't want to have a chat upstairs? Just checking.
We're going through on the plan to kill Adakora tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, Sahar is very quiet and does not really interact with any of you before she goes to sleep. Or, gets into her bed and covers herself up in blankets and stops interacting.
Okay.
Whether she's asleep or not, hard to say.
Yeah.
But she's not chatty tonight. All right, you can all take a long rest. I know you didn't really use anything yesterday.
Yeah, I don't think
there was anything spellcasting that went on. I am going to take a quick break and go to the bathroom.
All right. So, you wake up the next morning. Your mother is indeed gone when you wake up. I'm guessing you don't actually get up at the crack of dawn, or maybe you do. I don't know. Elves are weird. I forgot about that. Oh no, did I? Okay, you're there.
In theory.
I mean, I get up early, but I don't think I actually bother everybody to get out of bed at 4 a.m.
No, I know. I'm just trying to figure out if Melodora is gone. She probably, I'll just say she is. You get up, Kalina is there. That was Juliana. Gesundheit. Baby. You're too slow. Kalina is there. She's sitting at the table, like, eating breakfast. She kind of just looks like she's biding her time until she can get back upstairs to do stuff in her workshop. But she waves at you as you come into the kitchen at Akora.
I wave back.
I forgot that people who aren't elves need more sleep. Do you think they'll be up soon?
Soonish.
All right.
I'm sorry, we're taking over your workshop.
It's fine. I should have thought of it. Could have brought some things down to work on, something small. But I guess I'll just have to relax instead. Do you want some breakfast?
Sure, thank you.
Okay. She gives you like eggs and I don't know, potatoes. Herbal tea. Are the rest of you going to get up early? I don't know how early Antimony gets up. I can't remember.
It depends on how, like, annoying I'm trying to be. But I think I'll get up at, like, a fairly early hour.
Okay. I think Sahar is a pretty early riser, too. Like, you would probably wake up Antimony and she's, like, getting dressed and stuff.
I'll wake up relatively early, too.
Okay. When everybody else starts moving around.
Yeah. This doesn't really seem like a sleep-in day, so I guess so.
Perhaps not. You also, you did schedule a time to meet Eleni, which I think is like this morning sometime. I don't remember when it was exactly. But we'll say like a normal morning time, like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. or something. You're supposed to meet her.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you can, it's before the thing, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Which, of course, she doesn't know about. She might know at this point, but when you guys got here, she didn't know. So you guys all going kind of not full Cobalt Soul regalia, I assume.
Yeah.
Yes. Not dressed up.
Casual attire.
Okay. Sounds good.
Is there like how much fashion difference is there between Space Teal and Rexentrum?
It's probably not too extreme, just because they're both like fairly cold places. You know, everybody's wearing pants or like leggings under skirts. Everybody's wearing a lot of layers in knitwear, hats, mittens. Might not be quite that cold yet, but you see some hats and mittens. I think people in Besays Teal wear the clothing is probably a little more gender neutral than it is in Rexentrum, just like overall. I mean, in Rexentrum you see people wearing whatever pretty much, but like it's a little bit more. It seems like there's less like separate men's and women's fashions here. Everyone's just kind of wearing the same like pants and long tunic sort of setup. And there's more fur because they do more hunting out here. More fur and leather than like wool.
Well, I am wearing my leather jacket.
That's true.
Because I can.
You are. Yeah, the leather jackets here are probably not as like cool looking as yours. They're a little more practical, but yeah, it's
It's practical as hell. It's like 2 points on my charisma stat.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a charisma boost jacket. But yeah, you don't I mean, the thing that makes you most out of place is being visibly not elven. Those of you who are visibly not elven. Okay, so you all come downstairs. Kalina makes everyone more breakfast. And once you're all eating, she kind of heads upstairs. And just leaves you to your own devices.
You're gonna get wood shavings and all your stuff.
She's gonna shove it all to one side of the room.
Yeah, but
you probably had a few wood shavings in your stuff yesterday. I mean, she like swept the floor and stuff, but there was a little bit, it's a little sawdust around still.
Should we like still go on Eleni's tour? Probably. Right?
Are you asking me the merits of blowing off a new friend?
I don't know. I guess we'll all be there eventually.
think you should definitely hang out with Eleni. And she's expecting you, so...
Yeah. And what are you doing?
Not sure yet.
Are you visiting your grandparents?
Well, we're gonna do that tonight, or at least I am.
That's true.
Unless something goes horribly, terribly wrong. I have other relatives.
Here?
Yeah.
Like who?
Like cousins and shit.
I guess that sounds like a good time.
I have grandparents and aunt and uncle and cousins, and I guess one of my cousins has a baby.
Yep. Yeah, you have 2 cousins. They're siblings. They're both older than you. And then one of your cousins is married, and she has a baby who was like 6 months old.
Yeah.
According to your mother.
Yeah. But I think I'd only get in the way of the Eleni tour.
And what if you were to come along? Because of your habit of misinformation, or like what?
I like that. Because I already know the city, and it seems like she wants to spend time with you.
Wait, am I the only one going to this tour? Antimony, are you going?
I forget. Was I going?
I mean, Eleni invited all of you, so it's really up to you who wants to go.
Antimony wants to go. Right?
I mean, what's our schedule here actually?
I don't know. I want to like hover near the center just in case like something happens before there's a meeting, but I assume Eleni's going to take us there anyway. Like nearby.
Yeah.
Your meeting, Eleni, at 9 will say the announcement thing is going to be around noon.
So we have a little bit of time.
Yeah, you've got some time, but you don't really know where exactly she's going to take you. The library that you went to with Adakora was not really in the center of town. It was a little ways off.
Yeah.
But not too far, so you don't really know.
Yeah, I'm sure we can just tell Eleni that we're up to shenanigans.
Yeah, right.
It's not like Eleni's gonna be like a secret member of Rex and Trim or whatever and like be like, oh look, there's a Cobalt Soul person here, be on your guard, or like whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we can probably let Eleni give us a tour for a couple hours and then check in on the proceedings.
Yeah. She probably has a lot of stuff to say, because she always does.
Sahar kind of, at this point, like, speaks up and says, if anyone's not going on the tour, I think I'll go with them, because I don't speak Elvish. So if you guys go to any lectures or whatever, I'm not going to know what's going on.
That's fair. Alright, so we have our teams. We've had our breakfast. Should we head out?
I want to know who's bringing what weapons, if anything.
I'm bringing the usual weapons.
Okay.
I don't think I even dropped off my weapons yesterday when we were out and about.
Yeah,
I think you had to leave them in like the bathhouse locker room, but
Yeah, other than that, like I don't think I left them in my mom's house.
okay, cool. Yeah, most of you don't have, except for I guess Atakora, the other two don't have like big weapons that they need to do anything with, I don't think. Although I don't know, does Tim have a bow? Oh, I forgot you had a mace. That is big.
I definitely own a crossbow, but I feel like I haven't used it in a long time. I just end up hitting things with fireball.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to know how like packing everybody is.
How visibly armed?
Yeah, how visibly armed are you all?
Not very.
Yeah.
Are the magic users leaving their big weapons at home?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So you're bringing your mace on the tour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless Elenia is like, put that away. Like, are you uncivilized? And then I'll...
Yeah, you don't really know how she's gonna react to that.
Yeah. But we had our weapons yesterday, and they weren't like, put away your shit. To like libraries or whatever.
That's true. Yeah, they were okay yesterday. But
And if shit's going down, I want to have a weapon.
okay.
It might not, but
And you all have like leather armor and stuff, so it's probably not like weird that you're wearing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sahar has not put on any of her chainmail that she has.
Nice.
Yeah. She. Perhaps. That might be it. You don't really know. Oh, I have not long rested Sahar. I do that. I don't think any of her stuff is shield oriented. It's just her armor class. Does she? Dueling. Okay. Yeah, she leaves her shield behind as well. She is just wearing like very practical looking clothes and her enormous dark wool clothes. Well, I don't know. I just want to know, like, are people gonna look at you and be like, why do they have so many fucking weapons? You know, like.
Yeah, we're laying low with all our weapons.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I think
But I had all my weapons with me yesterday.
Yeah. And I think carrying a bow around is like the least weird thing.
Yeah.
A crossbow, they might be a little bit like, what? But if you have a short bow or a long bow, those are pretty common.
A short bow, I think.
What?
It's a short bow, yeah.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah, I just love bows, that's all.
Yeah, they love them. But, like, you know, people are always going out hunting and stuff. Like, people walk through town with bows and arrows pretty often. Okay, but yeah, Sahar puts on her big-ass cloak, and she takes her sword, and she kind of puts it on her back, and, like, puts the cloak over it. So it's kind of concealed. You could probably notice it if you looked really hard, but it's, like, not in, like, at a glance you might not notice, so. But she looks a little bit jumpy. I don't know. Just make a note of what you have with you and do not have with you, if you're leaving anything behind.
Okay. I think we're taking mostly of... It's a lot easier when you have, like, a bag of holding, because you're just like, that goes in, this goes in.
That's true. Yeah, you could just leave your mace in the bag.
Yeah, that's true. I could be polite and weaponless for now.
Okay, so the two of you are going to meet Eleni at the predetermined location. I think it was probably, there's a big lecture hall in the center of town by all of, like, the government buildings and stuff. I think that's where she planned to meet you.
Yes.
Right. Are you gonna let her take you to a secondary location? This cute elf grad student.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so you two are meeting Eleni. What is Adakora planning to do? Sahar is just gonna kind of tag along with you because she doesn't know what.
Of course. Thereby ruining my dastardly plan. No,
Right.
I was just gonna scope out center town, see what's up.
Okay.
Which might be kind of leading her into the center of the lion's den. I don't really know, but
Well, if she has anything to say about that, I'm sure she will. Once she realizes what's happening. Because you haven't really told her what you're going to do.
no, I mean, well, are we doing their thing first or me?
I don't know. Which of you wants to go first? Do you have a preference?
No. I do have to call in half an hour.
Oh, that's true. Okay, let's do
possibly
you
leave in
guys.
an hour. Yeah.
Let's do you guys first then, and then if you have to call, or if they call you in, then we'll just be done with that. We'll have done some of that.
Yeah. Okay,
So you guys head to the center of town together then as a group. It's looks pretty normal in here today so far. There are more Crowns Guard a little bit than you saw yesterday, and they seem a little bit more like like they're moving around more. They're not just kind of standing in their spots or like patrolling. They do seem to be going places. And there are also a few more watchkeepers here, like actually out here, not just at the training yards and stuff, which are kind of in this area. You probably do see Melodora at some point. She's pretty involved in whatever she's doing, so you can attract her attention or not, basically. But you see her talking to an elven man who you, Edicor, recognize as the captain of the Watchkeepers, Ilias, who has worked with Melodora for like as long as she's been in the guard. Mm. But yeah, they're hanging around the guardhouse deep in conversation. And Ophelia and Antimony split off to go and meet Eleni.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And yeah, this is so you approach the big sort of lecture hall. Was this the place? God, now I'm forgetting what I told you about which building. I think it was the lecture hall, which is sort of like a big community building that used to be a temple to the Wild Mother, and then was converted into like an academic building after the Empire took over and open worship of Melora was banned. Does that sound familiar to you guys? I feel like I told you this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember if it was this building or the government building or maybe both. Who knows? Probably this one, because the government building, which would have just been the government building the whole time. It's like the Ring of Three council building. So yeah, it's very large and beautiful, and has all these like plant-themed decorations, some water patterns. You see a couple of what you recognize as symbols of Melora, but they're sort of subtle enough that they could just be decoration.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's the original building. It just is no longer used as a temple. But yeah, it's this big, gorgeous wooden structure. And Eleni is just kind of hanging out outside on the steps. There's nothing going on in the building right now. So she's just chilling. Yeah, out of her traveling clothes, she's just wearing like a long wool tunic and pants and boots in like pretty bright colors. She looks very cozy. She has a vest on with like a fur collar, a leather vest.
All right, I will go up to her.
Yeah, she jumps up when she sees you guys and waves. And kind of like jogs the rest of the way to meet you. It's good to see you.
You look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How have you? Are you happy to be back home?
Yes. It's so good to be back. I'd forgotten how good warm food was in our 5 days on the road. Also, I missed venison. You don't get a lot of it in Rexentrum.
Yeah, that's true. I guess not as much hunting in the Empire.
Well, I'm sure in some parts, but not the capital, that's for sure. At least I never ate any game while I was there. So where did you stay last night? Yeah, they are. They're German.
We were at Akora's place.
Oh, with his mother?
Mm-hmm.
Is she nice?
Yeah. I didn't think she would be as involved in the going ons of this place as much as she is, which was interesting.
What does she do?
She's like in the guard?
Oh.
I think. Is that what she is?
Yeah. She's in the local, like, Visayas Teal managed guard, not the Crown's Guard.
Yeah.
Which is, there's a distinction.
Mm-hmm.
You mean the Watchkeepers, right?
Yeah. And she seems pretty important.
Interesting. He didn't tell me that either.
I don't think he tells anyone anything if he doesn't have to.
Who, Melodora? I mean, she's like a fairly high-ranking officer at this point. Probably more than when you were a kid. Yeah. She, like, trains pretty much everyone who goes through the guard now, so. What's he doing anyway? Spending time with his family?
I guess so. He has like cousins and one has a child or whatever, I don't know. He's doing whatever, and then later we'll meet back up for the thing.
The thing?
Whatever's happening at noon?
What's happening at noon?
Oh, there's like some kind of speech thing happening, I guess.
A speech?
Yeah.
Like a public speech from who?
People? I look at Antimony.
I haven't heard anything about this, but I didn't really leave my parents' house yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, from what we've heard, it seems like the Empire is sending Crown's Guard, possibly, to talk about recruiting for the war effort.
Her eyes get kind of big. Do you mean the army? Or... We have Crown's Guard here already.
Yeah, I guess it would be the army, right?
Yeah, I think
yes.
the Righteous Brand.
Yeah, the Righteous Brand.
Yeah.
Well, that's certainly new.
Yeah. I don't think it's very wanted either, but...
No. Well, and you want to be there for that?
Yeah, we're hoping to observe it. Maybe like a little bit before it, just take a look around, see what's going on. See if people are like grouping up. I imagine the Righteous Branch should have arrived. Shouldn't they have if they're the ones recruiting?
I suppose if it's happening today, they would have had to have been here by now. Do you know how many of them? Is it just a few to...
I imagine it
try
would be
to-
a few.
I mean, they didn't send... I don't suppose they could spare many.
Yeah, they're kind of busy elsewhere.
It's probably only a few of them.
Yeah.
They have more than enough Crown's Guard to help them, I would think. Hang on just a sec.
Okay, just switching rooms again.
Sorry.
No worries.
Well, that gives us a few hours to see the sights then.
Mm-hmm. It looks like
Oh, go ahead.
It looks like there's a lot to see.
Yes. I mean, yes, we don't really have enough time. Ideally, it would be a couple of days if you really wanted to see everything. But I don't. Well, there's probably some places I am not supposed to take you. I would have to ask for special permission, which I could maybe get, but
What kind of places are those?
well, just some of the more. They're not illegal. Actually, some of them might be illegal. Just some of the more. It's mostly magical libraries, places I don't really go myself. Knowledge that our magical practitioners have kept to themselves for the most part. We're supposed to share everything with the Empire, and we do, I think, but they don't just let anyone into those places.
Yeah, that's fair. And even if you don't share everything, it's like whatever.
And
They
that's
don't
them.
need to know anything and everything anyway.
Most of the places where I work, it's histories and written accounts and diaries and things, so those you should be able to see. You just have to be careful
Mm-hmm.
with
Where
the
do
old
you work?
documents and can't take anything out. Well, a couple of places. I was going to take you to meet my supervisor, if you wanted.
Just like a general supervisor?
Well, I mean, she's the one sort of coordinating our research. The project I'm working on with others about accounts of the fall of the Leismere.
Oh, yeah.
I have some time off before I have to go share all of my research with them.
Did you learn a lot when you were at the Soul about this?
Well, I read a lot of accounts, a lot of things we've never seen from mostly Imperial travelers and
Oh.
people from other parts of Wildmount too who pass through the Empire to go and explore the ruins. Most of our records are from before the fall. We don't really go there now. At least it's not common.
Right.
Do you think they'd ever do you think Visayas Teal would ever organize more expeditions to Melaismere?
I mean, maybe in the future. It hasn't happened so far. I mean, for a long time, they were just focused on staying alive, I think. It was very difficult to survive in the forest and building the city and everything. But, well, and then of course the Empire came, and it's difficult to cross the Empire's borders, from what I know. I mean, I would like to go one day, but
You'd need like a whole team.
oh yes. I mean, you saw me try to fight. And there's all sorts of arcane things going on there, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it seems like from the accounts I've read. Lots of descriptions of strange things that the travelers couldn't identify, things they didn't know how to deal with, things that got their friends killed. I would want a powerful wizard along, maybe a druid. But anyway, it's just those are the most common types of magic users that were living in the old city.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those are the sorts of magics that might be hanging around. But I really don't know much. I know a little bit of the theory, but I don't actually know how to do magic. Do you want to meet her, my research advisor?
Sure.
Why not, right?
Yeah.
I asked her. I know she's free. She doesn't mind.
We are studious, curious types. So, might as well.
She also manages the archives at the library of the old city. There's
Oh, yeah?
a specific library for documents and, well, it's sort of a little museum too. There are artifacts from there. Basically everything we got out of the city when we left.
That sounds cool. Very interesting.
I assume this
So we
is the
can-
one that we.
It is, yeah, it sure sounds like it. But hey, you're gonna go meet the person who's in charge of it, probably, so that's fun. And that is Eleni's boss, it sounds like.
Hell yes.
Do you want to go there first? There's plenty of other places we could go too.
Sure. We don't want to like keep her waiting, I suppose.
It's fine. She'll just be in her office all morning working on some things. But unless you have anything else you'd like to do.
Nope.
We're new in town, so.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sorry. All right, let's go, and then I'll tell you about some of the other things we could maybe see, and you can see what you want.
No, they said the head person was out. So it
She
can't
did,
be
yes.
her. Unless
she
she
did say
lied.
that they were out. She might have lied. You don't know.
Insight check. 24 hours later.
Yep. Disadvantage.
No. Alright.
Okay. So yeah, Lenny leads you to the same area that has a lot of schools in it, and up the stairs into the beautiful tree layer of the city, and to the same museum that you went to yesterday with Adakora. There are a few more people in there now, just like doing research and stuff, it looks like. And they're the sort of assistants who work there with their silvery white tunics, kind of walking around, helping people, putting stuff away.
Is there like any, like as we're traveling around or whatever, is there any like noticeable like difference in air of like the city? Like, is it tenser? Does it seem like it's normal?
Apart from this sort of heightened activity in the center of town with like the extra guards, not really.
Okay.
The people up here seem to be kind of going about their business for the most part.
Yeah.
Most of the people you see, it's kind of like last night or yesterday afternoon, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people you see are either like going from one place to another, with a lot of purpose, or they are just hanging out in a building, reading or talking or something. It does have a very like college campus vibe. But yeah, Lenny will kind of launch into a mini tour of the building. It's definitely a lot more detailed than Adakora's. And there are some notable differences in the information. And she's speaking Elvish this whole time, which you both understand, so it's totally chill.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But she points out all of the carvings and tapestries on the walls, describing, the construction of Molaesmere after the calamity, how it was basically it was sort of like Bisaeus Teal is now. Like the elves who lived up in that area were all scattered when everything was destroyed in the calamity, and then they came together and they built this, large, beautiful city. And then a few hundred years later, that city was destroyed, and then they came down here and built this city. So it's kind of, at this point, it's sort of become a story of like, the tragedies are like a little mirrored in the legends now. Mm-hmm. Although obviously the calamity was like everything got fucked up. Molaesmere was on a much smaller scale, but it did whatever happened, like, cursed the entire forest, so it was still a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you see depictions of that. There's also kind of a mural of it's a much more recent one. It's not from the city, but it's like a representation of the flight from the city. So it kind of shows an artist's rendition of Molaesmere, which is kind of similar to Bisaeus Teal, like built very much in and around the trees. But it's bigger, and it has more like stone incorporated into the buildings. There are like big statues and things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just much grander and larger. and there's this sort of dark purple cloud like coming from it in this painting, and like you see little figures of elves fleeing in two different directions, and you see the trees around the city sort of withering up and turning purple.
All right, I have to call now.
Okay.
Going in.
Okay, nice. I don't know that we're going to play too much longer.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's getting to be dinner time here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played for a considerable amount of time.
Yeah, but we can, wrap some of this up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she explains, her favorite artifacts, pretty much. She's just like, I'm showing you the most interesting ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then she takes you to sort of the back of the building. And you see there's a rather, it's hard to see from the entrance, it's kind of concealed among some carvings, but it's like when you stand up near it, it's visible. It's just a wooden door. And it's probably got like an employees only sign on it or something, like a very beautiful elvish employees only sign.
Mm-hmm.
Or students only or something, and she opens it, and there's a staircase going up, a covered staircase going up like the trunk of the tree, kind of similar to other ones you've seen. And she starts heading up. And after a little while, it opens out onto another, enclosed sort of treehouse area. This one feels like it reminds you of like parts of the Cobalt Soul archive. It's just sort of a quiet area with like various little rooms off of it. There's some chairs in here, but it just looks like a little collection of offices or meeting rooms, basically. And she takes you to one of the doors. None of them are marked or anything, and they don't have windows, but she, knows which one to go to, and she knocks. And someone inside, calls for her to come in, and she opens the door. And you all head into an office of sorts. It's pretty big. It's bigger than Torkel's office. It almost looks like an office / conference room / study room. Like there are bookshelves covered in books. There are a couple of little tables that look like people could work at them. But there's also a desk with just an assortment of things on it. And there's an elven woman sitting at the desk. She looks like she's probably pretty old. It's she doesn't age like a human, obviously, but she's like visibly maybe 40-ish. So she's probably really old. And she has very, very pale blonde hair. And she's wearing these sort of she's wearing the same like white and silver tunic as the people who work at the library downstairs. But she's also got like a comfortable sweater on and stuff. Like she's just kind of hanging out up here in her office doing work. Eleni talks to her in, very rapid Elvish, which you can understand, but it's like real quick and real accented. And she's like, Yes, we made it. These are the people I met. They're from the Cobalt Soul. They escorted me here. And introduces both of you. And then the woman is smiling and nodding, and she sort of turns to you two and says, oh man, where's her name? Why did I lose it? It's on my list somewhere. Okay. She introduces herself as Althea. Thank you for escorting my student home safely. She told me you ran into some trouble on the way.
Oh, well, you know, sort of. The usual, I suppose. Just some giant spiders and...
Yes, I've run into a few of them in my time, unfortunately. Well, thank you for keeping her safe. You... I know. Like, where's Adakara? Why do we have to talk? Come, sit down, sit down. You can all sit down, and she pours you all some, like, these tiny little cups of, like, fruit wine. And passes them out. And says, so, you are all from the Cobalt Soul. Or you're both from the Cobalt Soul, then?
To varying degrees, yes. I'm probably the most, well, I am the most attached to it. And then Antimony, you're like a contractor.
I'm like a freelancer, I suppose.
Yeah.
Please eat.
Okay, I'm almost done. She just asks you about, like, what your research is and what you do and stuff. You can, let's see, I'm gonna have you both make religion checks for me.
Okay.
Oh.
Religion. Okay. 16.
Okay, 10.
Okay, you both kind of notice that there's some designs on the walls, some symbolism that you haven't really seen around yet. It's a little bit different from, like, the sort of general plant and animal designs that decorate a lot of the buildings in Visayas Teal. It's a sort of, like, it's a 4-pointed star, basically, with, like, a crescent moon overlaying it. You're not sure what it means, you can't quite place it. Ophelia, you recognize this as a symbol of Coralon.
Oh, yeah.
The Archart, who is he's a deity of arcane magic and specifically of elves, like kind of the primary elven deity. And you know that, of course, well, you would, yeah, basically, yeah. You, of course, know that Coralon is not an approved god in the Empire.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But most of the deities associated specifically with elves are not approved gods, so it's a little. It's kind of suspected that there is a lot of secret worship of like Corellon and Sehanine and Melora throughout the Gondalian Empire, but particularly in Visayas Hill.
Mm-hmm. Would she have like noticed us noticing her?
I mean, would you have tried to hide it? Your reaction?
No. Well, I don't really care.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard for you to tell. You can't really tell if she noticed or not.
Mm-hmm.
She is watching both of you. But yeah, at some point you probably tell her that you're a cleric of Ioun. I imagine. She gets that information out of you.
Oh yeah, because I guess it's not super obvious. Right.
Yeah, not at this moment.
Yeah.
Well. What drew you to the goddess?
Mostly just an interest in knowing the truth of matters, no matter who tries to spin it whichever way.
That's a noble goal. The Cobalt Soul is lucky to have you, I think.
Yes. I mean, thank you.
Yes. They are very lucky to have me.
Yeah. It seems like the best option for when you're in the Empire, of remaining as neutral as possible. Though I suppose here gives it kind of a run for its money.
She laughs a little. Yes, as a scholar, I honor Ioun. Though she is not the deity I have pledged myself to.
Mm-hmm.
I am very grateful for this collaboration with the Cobalt Soul. I think we have an opportunity to learn a great deal from each other.
Yeah, I think so too, and it would be good to keep this relationship going.
It's refreshing. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
No worries. You can.
It's refreshing to deal with someone on our own terms, who is not interested merely in wringing every last secret out of us that they can.
Yeah.
To have an exchange of information.
Yeah, there's not really an exchange when you're dealing with the Empire.
No. I hope you will convey my regards and thanks.
Yes. And I don't know, do you guys ever take Cobalt Soul members to do study here?
We haven't yet, but we would certainly be open to it.
I will keep that in mind. This seems like a grand place for learning.
It is. We value knowledge very highly here. All of our population has an opportunity to be educated. I understand it's not like that in many Dwendalian cities.
Not as far as I'm aware. And if it is, it is somewhat politicized, I think. I'm like trying not to look at antimony, but I do.
Well, we do have to live alongside them. It is good to know as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
About this empire that we find ourselves bound to. And she kind of turns to Antimony. What made you decide to work with the soul? Do you have this interest in scholarship as well?
Something like that. I'm sort of studying engineering mostly. And I have some artificer training, but I figured maybe I could put it to better use with the soul than with whatever is going on at the Soltris Academy right now.
I would imagine so. The Soldiers Academy is well, an arm of the Cerberus Assembly, is it not?
Yeah, they tend to recruit directly from the academy, so as you can imagine, it's things have been getting a little chaotic there lately.
I'm sure. Pardon me for asking, you are of some elven descent. Do you have family here? I know there are elves living elsewhere in the Empire, of course.
Well, my father was originally, he originally lived in Visayas Teal, but, he moved to, oh god, where, like, they're in Druvenla, but where is that? It's kind of like...
It's close to Rexentrum.
Yeah.
It's in, like, the Zemni Fields, I think, is the region that it's in.
He moved to the Zemni Fields.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you been here before?
This is my first time, actually. So it's it's been quite an interesting experience. It's not really like anything I've ever seen before. Not in a bad way, though. It's good.
You are very welcome here. Now, Eleni says she is going to give you a tour of all of her favorite places in the city. Eleni kind of laughs. Yes, I had hoped to. I don't think we'll get to all of them. And yeah, Althea sort of nods, and Turns to the two of you. Is there any... Do you have any specific questions for me? Is there any information that you would like conveyed to the Cobalt Soul?
What do we want to know, if anything?
Yeah.
Would you be free to answer that question perhaps another time? We aren't about to leave yet, I don't think, and it might be helpful for us to know more before we have the chance to ask, like, specific questions.
Of course. I will not always be here. I have duties elsewhere often, but if you come to the library, you can ask one of the assistants here, and they will let you know if I'm here or not, or if I'm available.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. Why am I so bad at talking to people?
I'm gonna make you roleplay if it's the last thing I do. Not that you don't roleplay, but I'm gonna make Ophelia talk to strangers if it's the last thing I do.
No.
Okay, she collects all of your empty cups and things, and all right, well, enjoy yourselves. Yeah. Oh no! For betraying the Alcatraz. Ooh. Enjoy yourselves. Eleni, I'll see you back at work in a few days. Of course, Scholar Althea. Eleni does like a little, it's like not even quite a bow, it's like a very deep nod, but it's just sort of a gesture that you've never really seen anyone do. And Althea does the same thing back. And just sort of says goodbye to you all, and Eleni heads out.
Well, she was nice.
She's wonderful. Sorry I didn't say much in there. She likes to sort of talk to people to get the measure of them. And she was very interested in you. She hasn't met many Cobalt Soul members in person. She's communicated with some of them, I think Eudolifon in particular, coordinating this project. And there are a few others who visited us here, but, well, I was the first one to go actually study in the Cobalt Soul, so...
Well, hopefully that wasn't too terrible an impression.
No, I think she liked you. Both of you.
Oh, that's good.
You noticed the symbols, I thought, Ophelia.
Oh, you noticed us noticing? Well.
Do you know what they mean?
Yeah. But it doesn't... Like, I'm from the coast and there's no I don't put as much weight on banning faiths, I suppose. So it really
That's good.
doesn't. I mean, I've practically already forgotten anyway, so.
I trust you not to say anything, of course. It's
Yeah, no.
if you stay here long, you'll run into other signs of such things. The Empire knows about it, we're fairly sure. It's allowed to continue as long as it's hidden. They know they can't arrest all of us for worshipping forbidden gods. But people have been caught if they're too open about it.
Mm-hmm. Kind of a dick move, but whatever.
It happens rarely, but it has happened.
Yeah.
Althea is, well, I suppose you could call her the leader of the worship of the Archheart in this city. It's not very centralized, of course, because it can't be. But she is his chief cleric here.
I mean, do you consider yourself also to... Well, I guess you don't have to answer because it doesn't matter.
I do. I'm no cleric, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
yes.
You could be, maybe. Oh, I guess he has to, like, choose you.
Well, and I'm so busy with other things.
That's true. I'm sure he would hate
Maybe
to
once-
interrupt your studies.
Maybe once I'm farther along in my research.
Once you, like, start to want to go to Meleismere, you can be like, hey, you want to, like, help out or something? And then he'll be like, okay, and he'll give you bless, and that'll take you through unharmed.
Is that how it works?
Sometimes. Maybe. There's, like, other spells too, I guess, but...
Okay, you've kind of gone to the bottom of this staircase at this point. And she leads you back out into the library. So, what do you want to do next? We could go to other archives. We could, I don't know, sit in on a lecture. Are you interested in anything in particular? There are concerts here as well.
Concerts? That's me talking, that's not Ophelia. I want to go to the concerts.
I mean, at this time of day, nothing. It's just probably recitals and things, quartets and.
I want to go.
Was that Ophelia?
Ophelia doesn't want to go.
Oh, okay. Does Ophelia not like music?
She doesn't mind it. She's just not a nerd.
That's not true.
Yeah, I guess not.
She's a nerd.
Yeah, just not a cool one.
Okay, well, I'm probably gonna call it here, unless. Anne, are you okay with that? Do you want to do a little bit of stuff first, or are you good?
That's good.
Okay, we'll start with you and Sahar next time.
Yeah,
yeah.
We'll probably lead right into whatever the speech is going to be, and that's going to be a while. So
Yeah, that's true. You're going to have to lurk around for a little while, so maybe something will happen while you're lurking.
Half of your health is gone, and you're like, hey. And we're like, what the fuck?
What were you doing? What happened to you in the last 3 hours? But yeah, I don't really